So continuing the mimer in Torah Or, opening verse was Chumit from Torah Or. We learned that you cannot get to a transformation without starting off with iskafia. Has to start iskafia, subjugation. Subjugation would lead to nullification, nullifying your will, nullifying your desires, your wishes, and then it would eventually lead to transformation. And he says, it's known that you can't have a creation of something from something. When you want to change something you want to change one reality to another mahus, completely different reality, it says it's not possible that the other entity that wants to come in will come as a continuation to the previous one. Because there is no room to create something new from another yesh. Rather, it first has to nullify one mahus, one entity, and then you can create a new yesh. And he brings an example from the seed that we plant in the ground. It says only once the seed rots and becomes iron, becomes nullified, then the power of growth, then it could grow with an added, to create obviously more crop, and the power of growth that is in the soil now kicks in. But before the recovery, before the rotting, it's still a yesh, and therefore there's no growth. And that's what the rabbi said regarding. It's written in Temurah that when it comes to a chick that comes out of the egg, it says ki kagovil afro ba'almahu. Since the chick comes out of the egg, is a new entity. The egg itself needs to turn into afro ba'alma, something that has no value, merely dirt. As we said before, it's not possible to create yesh miyesh without the ayin in the middle. So, amen. So I have a yesh, I have an entity. I cannot replace it with another entity until I first nullify the first one. So the egg is being nullified, the chick comes, the seed is nullified, there's the growth comes in. The first that you put, the day that you put the seed, nothing happens. Once it starts to deteriorate and rots, then the power of growth can affect it and bring growth to it. V'chach, and similarly, what does it have to do with us? V'chach hi efshar liot mibchinat ahava sheb'ulumat zeh b'chinat ahavat Hashem im lo shetakdim tchila b'chinat bitul. If you want to transform the love of the L'umat zeh, what does it mean, love of the L'umat zeh? The love to the other side. You have love to negative things. You can't say, okay, now it's going to be love to Hashem. Obviously, that's the objective. But it's not going to happen unless you nullify that love. You say, you're loving nothing right now. Bring it back to zero. And now it could start to grow in a different direction, in a positive direction. Why? Why can't I just transform it the way it is? So we explained, there's no comparison when you love physical things and when you love spiritual things. In order to come to the transformation, you have to have first nullification. And that's the avodah of itkafia, of subjugation. The person subjugate himself to do and to act against his wills, against his desire. And then we say, ואהבת את השם אלוקיך. שתחילה צריכה להיות מסירות נפש. Every time you say קריאת שמע, you have to think about מסירות נפש, about self-sacrifice, to have it in your mind. It says שתחילה צריכה להיות מסירות נפש. First you have to have, what is mesirat nefesh? Is bitul, nullification, nullifying myself before Hashem. Whatever He needs, I'm willing to do. Mesirat nefesh. Even to the point that I'm giving my life for this cause. So it says, צריכה להיות מסירות נפש, בחינת ביטול. What is מסירות נפש? Is nullification. למסור נפשו באחד. It's written in תיקוני זוהר. למסור נפשו באחד, to give up his life in, when you say the word אחד, having the concept of מסירות נפש, ועל ידי זה, you come to ואהבת בכל לבבך, and then you come to ואהבת, love Hashem b'chol levacha. What does b'chol levacha mean? With your two inclinations, with the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra. That even the animalistic soul can come to the transformation to v'ahavta, to love Hashem. So the fact that we are prefacing Shmais Echad to v'ahavta, doesn't say first v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha and then Shema Yisrael. First we're saying Shema Yisrael. And the Echad of Shema Yisrael, the nullification that we have to accomplish in Echad, has to lead to V'ahavta. It shows us also the same concept. You have to have Bitul. Bitul would lead to the transformation. The transformation is V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha b'shnei tzarecha, with your two inclinations. That even the animalistic soul has now desire for spirituality, loving spiritual things.
What is the difference between b'chol levavcha and b'chol nafshecha?
Right, so it says with all your heart and with all your soul.
What is the technical?
It's a much deeper connection. Levavcha is the physically, and then it's spiritually, and then then you have b'chol modecha, with all your might. It's even a greater level. We actually many times in the Mamorim that we learn, it speaks about the different levels of. But levavcha it's referring to the two inclinations. Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Ra, godly soul and holistic soul. So now we're going to understand why they ate, why we were recommended to eat matzah before Sfirat HaOmer. So זהו עניין המצה שנצטוו לאכול בשבוע א' של ספירה. The first week, ספירת העומר, we were recommended to eat matzah. וגם קודם הספירה, and also prior to the ספירת העומר, to the counting of the עומר. כי מצה בחינת התקפיה וביטול. כי המצה אין בה התנסות להיות תופח ועולה. The Torah tells us, first of all, it says matzah, it's something that does not rise, doesn't have התנסות, doesn't have any pride. The Torah says, כי כל שאור וכל דבש, or כי כל שאור וכל חמץ, is referring to the rise, that the dough would rise. And it says, שנעשה רמה והגבהה שמגביה את עצמה. It elevates itself, it rises, והוא בחינת יש. So חמץ represent ישות, יש. Okay? אבל המצה שאין בה שום נפיחה והגבהה, the מצה is flat, getting bitten, and then you do a bunch of holes in the matzah. רק בחינת הנמיכות והשפלות הוא בחינת ביטול הרצון. So the matzah represents התקפיה. Matzah represents nullification. The lack of expanding the expansion of your desires and your wantings. There's no want, there's no desires. Rak just wants to be nullified, which is the opposite of rising. וגם אין בה טעם כמו החמץ. Also, there's really no much flavor, there's no much time when it comes to the matzah versus chametz. Bread has more ingredients, has eggs, has sugar, has salt, other things. Matzah is flat. It's flat physically and also flavor-wise it's flat. וגם בעד טליה כנודע שמי שאין בו בחינת התנסות אינו רוצה למצוא טעם בעבודתו. It says that they're both connected with each other. Someone that doesn't have התנסות, meaning doesn't have pride, he was able to minimize its ego. He says he also is not looking for tam in his service, meaning he's not looking for flavors in his service of Hashem. Or what does it mean, flavors in service of Hashem? He wants to, this is the area that I like, this area makes me more happy, this area makes me less happy. He doesn't look for tam, doesn't look for oh, I'm going to get, if I do this, I'm going to get this reward, I'm going to get that reward. It's not looking for tam. So they're both connected with each other. If you have itnasut, you look for tam, you look for taste, you look for flavor. If you don't have, then you don't look for. If you don't have itnasut, if you don't rise, you don't have pride, you don't have ego, then you also don't look for tam. So these two are connected. Since the primary service of itkafi, of subjugation, is nullifying your will to the will of God, even if you don't have enjoyment, you have no, it's not something that speaks to you, it's not something, meaning you're doing it, but it's not giving you any pleasure whatsoever, you're going to do it with the same tokef, meaning with the same fervor, you're going to do it because of your bitul. If someone doesn't have bitul, so in one area in the service of God is going to be alive, in another area is going to be the opposite, God forbid. Why? Because he looks for tam. And why he looks for tam? Because of itnasut.
And bitul.
Itnasut, the opposite of bitul. En bitul. וזהו עניין המצה הלחם עוני לפני קבלת התורה. And this is the reason specifically that we're obligated and we were commanded to eat matzah before Kabbalat Torah, before accepting the Torah at Mount Sinai. Why? Because matzah is called lechem oni, the bread of the poor, the bread of affliction, right? Shebet shiflu to bitul, representing nullification, lowliness. Ki davka l'dei akdamat avodah zo, specifically through prefacing this work, the work of bitul, efshar achar כך להפוך את המידות רעות. What are we trying to accomplish? Sfirat HaOmer, להפוך את המידות הרעות, the transformation of the negative attributes. So through the bitul, the matzah is the part that enabling us to do the bitul. And doing the bitul, ultimately enabling us to transform our negative attributes.
If you're supposed to have bitul all our life,
right?
So why don't we eat matzah all the time?
Every day.
Every day.
Right.
Or fast.
Well, fast is you don't live much more than a week. That's it.
It's more bitul.
But matzah, I mean, why don't we eat matzah the whole year? You know.
And so we're actually mentioning in the tefillah twice, or in some prayer books even more, the concept of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So we have an obligation to remember Yetziat Mitzrayim every day.
You say it every time.
Right, but the Torah still wants us to be able to enjoy the world, to have everything that we have. So the power of Pesach, that week of Pesach, it's really the Rosh Hashanah of the year. So we can carry it with us throughout the whole year. We can eat chametz, but we don't have to be chametz. So to be chametz is the idea is not to, obviously matzah is something physical. You can eat matzah all day, but if you didn't work on yourself, you still can be chametz. The idea is to get rid of the chametz inside, right? So if you're contemplating on it, that in order for me to receive the Torah before Kabbalat Torah, we had to go through bitul. And matzah represented bitul. Ki b'chipazon yatzanu Mitzrayim. Hashem wanted it specifically that they wouldn't have time to bake it properly. Then now you have the tool, להפוך את המידות רעות, the tool to transform the negative attributes. But you're right, we have to carry with us Yetziat Mitzrayim every day to remember what it represents and what is expected of us. So you're right, כמו שאומרים, ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה. That my soul should be like dust before all. ואחר כך, פתח ליבי בתורתך. If you look at the end of the Shmoneh Esrei, we say first ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה, which is again representing bitul, and then פתח... לכל is before everyone. It says, לעולם יהיה אדם שפל רוח בפני כל אדם. You have to be שפל רוח even before קל שבקלים. even if you're facing someone that you know that is a sinner, day in and day out, and the whole day, you have to be humble before him. You say, why? He's sinning. Why should I be humble before him?
He doesn't know.
So, first of all, it could be that he knows, but you can't judge him. You can't judge him. Why can't you judge him? Because you don't have the same Yetzer Hara that he has, and you didn't have the same upbringing, and you don't have the same parents, and you don't have the same environment, and you don't have the same.
We can't be judges of anybody.
Right, and we don't. And the reason why we can't be judges is because of all these things that I just said, and you don't even have the same temperament. We learned that you can have two people. One guy is working in an office, another guy is working in the market. One guy's Yetzer Hara it says Boer Kaesh, is burning inside him, so it's harder for him. And that the Admor Zaken says also in Tanya that you can't even judge him, because if you really look deep, you'll see that you're worse than him. He says, why? He says, because for him to win his challenge, he has to put this much of a fight. For you to win your challenges, you have to put that much of a fight, and you still don't do it. So he says, who is worse now? In order for him to get out, he has to put from 0 to 10, he has to put 10 to get out. And sometimes you put up a fight, the guy, maybe not always win. But do you really put up a fight every single time? Do you win every single time that you have a struggle?
And the fact that you judge anyone, it immediately gives you gava. It gives you,
right.
Well, who are you?
Exactly.
Who are we to judge anyone? Not.
But sometimes we judge.
Oh, yeah, all day long.
We judge.
Every minute of the day, you're judging somebody.
Have to correct
whatever,
Before a person is even completing his sentence, people have an idea of your job, your clothes, your this, your that, your accent.
We are
everything
so smart, all of us.
Why?
Yeah.
Why we
It's
are
the
like
nature.
this?
We have to work on it.
It's a nature of human beings.
Also, we have something that I think is very ugly, that people likes to put things in a box. So, okay, water guy. Oh, this guy, that guy. So many times people tell, do you know the guy? That's the plumbing. You know the guy. So it's like he has no entity, no personality, no nothing. Just that he does A and B. But we have to, but you can say this is his business, but not to be judging. Really, can't be judging. ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה, when we become כעפר לכל תהיה, then פתח ליבי בתורתך, then heart will be open to learn Torah, שעל ידי נפשי כעפר יכול להיות אחר כך בבחינת התהפכה ולהיות פנים לפנים. It says by doing it כפייה, subjugation, you go against your will, you can come ultimately to transformation. What am I going to benefit from transformation? The relationship with Hashem, of panim v'panim, face to face. That's what it leads to.
I've heard you say, like when you do the conversion and you have your Jewish soul, then you'll know what Yetzer Hara really is. I mean, what does that fully mean compared to this person over here who doesn't know anything about Torah, who, is, maybe. It seems like the more spiritual you are, the even more intense the inclination is. So,
right.
So it's almost, Yeah,
what they mean by saying it, that right now you don't really have an opposition. Even if you think you have an opposition, you don't really have an opposition. So inside you, there's no really a power that says don't do it, because it couldn't care less if you're doing it or not. But once you have the godly soul, the godly soul is going to be impregnated in you once you go out of the mikvah, and then you obviously have the animalistic soul, and now there's a struggle. Who is going to win? Each one wants to dominate, like by every Jew, from the moment that they are born. A godly soul wants to dominate, and the animalistic soul wants to dominate. So it's going to be manifested in different ways. Maybe today you have a job, tomorrow you got to skip shul because of this meeting, of that meeting. Excuses will come, and you get married, the children, this and that. It's not easy. And the fact is that you see that there's 60,000 Jews in Boca. If we were to, if we would need to accommodate only 50% of them,
200 shuls.
this shul would be. You need,
every corner.
imagine this shul has to take in 10,000 people. It's built for 800 people.
Sweet problem.
On Yom Kippur being filled. But what happens? Imagine like this every day, and double it by 10 times.
Right. We need a lot of shuls. A lot of rabbis.
One day will be like this.
And this is only 50% that decides to show up.
One day will be like this.
So, we can only hope.
Then Mashiach comes.
Depends where.
Start to see hundreds of Jews coming to shul. Mashiach is definitely on his way. I mean,
There's a hard
like this guy's like, I don't know what came in here today. I had to come in here.
But this sounds discouraging. But the encouraging part is that you will be given also the capabilities of overcoming the challenge. So although you're going to have the challenge, but you will have the abilities to.
Fight.
But I personally, what I saw with a lot of converts, that it comes to a point they feel like they know it all,
Right.
and now they become their own rabbi to themselves,
Right.
and either they stop showing up or they have their own, like, they find like their own niche, and you don't really see them anymore. But the truth is, in order for anybody to grow, they need the community. They need to get beaten from time to time. A guy will make a comment, another guy will maybe not say hello, and that's part of it. It's not, you're not going to find, there's no perfect community, and you'll always have needles and thorns in different places. But that's how you grow. מסכים או לא מסכים?
There's a Harvard study that, to answer your question, whether it's going to ever happen, you know, that you're going to have everybody coming to shul over here. There's a Harvard study that in the United States there are right now 5.5 million Jewish people.
That's it.
In 70 years, there might be less than 1 million because of intermarriage. There are 52% intermarriage, first of all, and the lack of birthing.
Hey.
Jewish families are getting smaller and smaller.
So
So in 70 years, and it's not too far away, 70 years, maybe only 1 million Jews will exist in the United States.
Wow.
it's kind of scary. But it's true.
Yeah, it's scary.
The Romans won.
So
the
unless
Greeks
Chabad
won,
does
the
a better
Nazis
job.
won, they all won. The Romans won. all
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I think the only people who are really trying to bring more Jews closer to Judaism is Chabad.
Look, George Rohr is one of the biggest donators to Chabad. I think they said about 2-3 years ago that he donated over $100 million to Chabad. This guy pushed I believe it was I don't know who the initiative was, but they pushed the concept of the Chabad on campus. Chabad on campus was made to combat the assimilation and intermarriage. And what they do is they open a Chabad house right next to the university, and they're inviting Jewish boys and girls to Shabbat meal by them, and during the week. So now, I mean, a lot of universities like Gainesville and all the good universities in Florida, you'll have 90% or 98% non-Jews and 2% Jews.
Right.
So really, the chances for Mark to meet Samantha are very high,
Right.
or Jessica, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, or Christine. It's very high. So so when they come to Shabbat, suddenly they only see Jewish boys and girls, and they come together and they get to know each other. Sometimes didn't even know that about each other. They're Jews, and suddenly they get to know, oh, you're Jewish and you're Jewish, and so it brought a lot of marriages. It brought a lot of
So
religious
is
people.
Anybody doing it here?
Of course, yeah. In FAU, there's Chabad in FAU. Of course, yeah. I think it's the biggest thing that.
I think you're right 100% because
yeah.
in Boston they were doing that. You know, Harvard
Yeah.
University had it, MIT had it, Boston University had it.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
Rabbi, last night they had a geula a sifa here for the Nashin Sifa for the women. It wasn't started by Lubavitch, but it's all over the world. Thousands and thousands of women in every country last night got together to sing.
No, well, we're saying we're trying to find a specific remedy for the intermarriage, for assimilation, and you have to start from the root when they're young, when they're in the university, where all these things starts to bud.
Right. So they advertised this. You don't have to be religious.
Right.
You just have to be a Jewish woman, and a lot of women came that were not.
Yeah, I heard there was a Chabad shliach in Canada. They used to rent a big club every Saturday night, and he would the music would go on the same, everything would go on the same. It was just a private party, and he would invite to the party only Jewish boys and girls. And he wasn't even there, but he would just bring them together, and they would dance. They do everything the same. They didn't even know, but the only people they saw in the club was Jews. So you got to think of different ideas.
It's the biggest problem.
Not only here in the United States, it's all over the world. And unfortunately also in Israel. You'd be surprised how many Jewish boys and girls are intermarrying with Arabs.
Yeah, and especially now that it became so easy.
Constant problem.
Especially now it became so easy to go abroad. So people are just flying to Greece. He finds a nice girl. Why not? If he doesn't get the Jewish education, he doesn't understand what's the problem. He goes to Cyprus, he finds somebody. Why not? He goes to America, he finds somebody. Why not? So.
A friend of mine here from Boca flew to his nephew's just 2 weeks ago. Flew to his nephew's wedding, who got married in Greece because he was marrying a not Jewish person. The girl was not Jewish. They married in Greece, did the party in Israel because they couldn't get married in Israel. So they went to Greece, got married over there. I don't know how they got married. A Christian, I have no idea what. But they did the party in Karkur, that's next to Cheder. And it's a problem that exists all over, especially like, Menashe says, because people travel, you travel, you meet. You leave Israel and you meet.
Yeah, but it's also what's in here. Like I grew up and I won't say I dated, but I used to tell girls, I can't really go out with you. I can't get serious with you. I would say I can't get serious because you're not Jewish. Then they thought I was the biggest jerk in the world. So they went from really liking me to hating my guts within a minute because it was like I was too good for them. And unfortunately, it was probably the best thing that happened to me, but I used to tell them straight out, you want to hang out and play? I didn't know the rules back then. I said, but I can't get married to you. I had enough of a Jewish education. Like, I need to meet a Jewish girl to have Jewish children. But,
we had a
so
guy.
screwed up.
We had a guy. I just show you the education, the secular education in Israel. I had a friend that his nephew just finished the army, so he came to America. I wanted to see if maybe he's going to find a job here, maybe he's going to travel a little bit. And the guy was an infantry soldier, looking good, young man. So I saw the guy is planning on to. I happened to hear he's planning on to go to bars and to have fun. So I told them. I started giving it to him, we have to stick to Jewish people, it's a great sin to be with non-Jewish. So I gave it to him. So he listened, he's dancing in a bar, a girl comes to him, and they're dancing loud music. You're Jewish? She's looking at him, she goes away.
That's like my first or second question to any girl.
So he called,
you Jewish?
His father calls him a few days later. His father is somewhere in Israel, Beersheba, wherever. His father calls him up and says, "No, how does it go? How's it going with the girls? You having fun?" He said, "No, there's a rabbi here. He told me it's not good. I shouldn't do it." So his father said, "Listen, what's his name?" He says, "Menashe. Tell this Menashe if I'm coming to America, I'm gonna break his bones."
No way.
Don't. That's what he said.
They
encourage them. They tell them, "Go out there, do it." He said, "Do it. You're outside of Israel. You can do whatever you want. Have fun." That's the education.
Do whatever you want, education.
And that's the problem is it starts like this. I have friends that their sons are dating non-Jewish. I told them, "What are you doing? It's not like you're a traditional guy. Why would you let your son?" So he said, "No, let them train on them." He said,
Right.
let him train on them.
Yeah.
Well, how can you stop if he's decided that he fell in love with her? What are you going to do now?
What are you gonna do?
It's like
When you train a lot, became professional.
Professional boy.
professional.
I'll tell you what.
No, he wants to. He thinks that his
So
son.
stupid.
He's thinking that his son is going to have a better marriage if he goes through all these things, which is it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. So we end off that we learned that Sfirat HaOmer, the Avodah of Sfirat HaOmer, concept of counting the Omer, it's the inyan of Itapcha, the true transformation, being able to transform all the midot ra'ot, all the negative attributes, transforming them from bad to good, from something that is bitter to something that is sweet, from darkness into light. And we have to preface the avodah of Sfirat HaOmer with achilat matzah, with itkafia, with nullification, bitul haratzonot, nullifying our will to Hashem's will. And tomorrow we'll continue the next chapter that explains that even itkafia, she'af itkafia, although itkafia subjugation is tchilat avodah, is the beginning of the work, but when the midot ra'ot not yet transformed into good, there is still an advantage to it. B'chol zot yesh ba ma'ala yetera le'ithapcha, meaning don't think, although I need to get to ithapcha, I need to get to the transformation, that the itkafia is not important, that the subjugation is not important. He said the itkafia itself, the subjugation, has an unbelievable greatness, even though it's not the ultimate, because you did not yet transform the midot ra'ot into good. It leads to, but many times we're thinking, first grade is great, making a big party for first grade, but don't get stuck in first grade, you got to get into second grade. So what are you really saying? That first grade is not important, second grade is important. Then you get to second grade, tell you, very good, now you're second grade, but don't think it's important because third grade is important. Over here we're telling you, itkafia, but itkafia would lead you to ithapcha. So he says that, meaning although it would lead you to ithapcha, it would lead the transformation, but itkafia itself is something wonderful. It's not, it's just leading me to the next thing, to the next step. He said, meaning that even itkafia itself has something that is greater than ithapcha. The fact to be able to subjugate your inclinations, even though you didn't transform them yet, it has a greater advantage. Baruchim to you.
Thank you, Rabbi.